Hey everybody, welcome to today's stream. Hope everybody's doing good today. I was looking at a couple of the comments. Some of you guys over on the east side are a little bit cold, it sounds like. I wish you can send your cold and your snow and everything to me and I'll be happy with that. It's actually been pretty warm here, which it's been nice. I can't complain too much, but when you want to go snowboarding, you'd much rather have some snow. So anyway, today we are going to be doing some turning. We cast these crazy cap things. They're like baby food caps of some sort in some epoxy resin last time. And the blanks turned out really good, so I got this guy cut up. It's all squared up on the ends. We are going to turn this into a whiskey stopper, or whatever kind of like liquor bottle one. And I mentioned it sometime. I mentioned probably on the last episode, I guess. Last stream. Stainless bottle stoppers came out with a liquor stopper size. If I can get it out of the package here. Just a little bit bigger than a wine bottle stopper. So I'll kind of hold it up. Pretty much the same thing that they had, just a little bit bigger. Works a little better in, like a whiskey bottle or something like that. So I thought we would turn one of those since I got a couple extras of these guys. So it should be pretty fun. Hopefully everything will stay together. Those were the caps were very smooth on the outside, so there could be some bonding issues maybe. I don't know. Everything looks good so far, so hopefully everything will stay together and we won't have any problems. But it should be pretty fun. So it's a turning episode today. So let's see here. Is there any other news and excitement to mention that I can think of? I can't think of much. Well, there's one little news bit, and then we'll get over on the lathe. On Friday, we're doing the patron hangout. So if you're a patron, we do the monthly hangout is this Friday, and we are going to be casting some candy cane blanks, some stoppers. I always make these every year around the holidays. And I'm excited to kind of share this. I know probably a lot of you guys have seen this already. I think there's a couple that we've done it on live streams and stuff. But, the holidays are here, and these are one of my favorites. I kind of wait all year. I don't make them all year until, December rolls around. So it should be pretty fun. We're going to do a little bit of casting with these guys. And then, of course, the second half of that monthly hangout is just a Q&A. Like, if anybody has any questions about resin casting or whatever, we'll roll into that. So for patrons showing up, make sure that if you have any questions, write them down, bring them with you. The stream starts at 3 p.m. on Friday, so 3 p.m. Pacific time. So it should be pretty fun. And then if anybody wants to join the Patreon family, you can do so at patreon.com/nvwoodworks, which I just want to mention also, that's going to be changing. It's going to be patreon.com/resinworksstudio soon, but it hasn't changed yet, so you can still go to the old one. I got links and all that kind of stuff down in the show notes if you want to do that and get access to those monthly hangouts. It should be pretty fun. So let's see here. Is there anybody who was here first? That's what I wanted to check out. Dominic and Lelia. Nice. Jim was not too far behind them. Sweet. And we got Jim Conlon's here. Who else? Ann's here. Kind of scrolling through. I might miss someone. Kim's here. And Doug's here. How's it going? Doug's playing with the puppies. Might have missed some people. I apologize if I missed. Paul down in Vegas. Lawrence is here. And Resin Dragon. Sweet. I might have missed a couple of you, but actually I just saw one other one. David Webfoot. So welcome to the stream. Let's head over to the lathe and start making some shavings. It should be pretty fun. I kind of selfishly said, okay, I want to get on the lathe and do something. I haven't turned anything for a long time at this point. Just getting everything ready. So, with the business launch, the new business name and all that stuff, and then the Black Friday sales and all this. So I haven't turned anything for a long time. So I don't even know if I know how to do it anymore. So let's head over to the lathe. First things first, we need to drill a hole in this guy, and then we're gonna mount it using the universal mandrel from stainless bottle stoppers. I love this thing. It comes with this is the mandrel, but it also has all these different bushings that you can use that match up to your different kits for, you know, like stoppers and all those types of different things. So I think that I'm going to double check this one and just make sure that this is the right bushing for this kit. I'm not sure. Nope. A little bit on the thin side. So I'm going to pull out a bushing real quick, the correct one. There it is. Okay. So this is the one for you know, wine stoppers. This one is the actual size. And so it's kind of like pen turning, you know, where you have those bushings. Just kind of makes everything a little bit easy. Oh, I just lost my bushing. It flew off. Oh man. Let me go grab it before it rolls away. Where'd it go? See, it rolled away. I knew it. I lost my bushing, guys. Must be under the lathe somewhere. There it is. We're okay. We're on the right camera even? We are. Good. Okay, so first, like I said, first things first. The nice thing is, though, this is just going to be a 3/8/16, the same drill bit and all that, and threads as your you know, standard wine stoppers. So let me find my, where's my drill bit? There it is. Okay, so we are gonna chuck this guy up. Turning pretty smooth, that's good. Not wobbling. Get our drill chuck ready. And again, this is a 3/8, it's a, what size is this? A 5/16 maybe? I can read it. Yeah, 5/16 drill bit, and it's a stubby one. I don't know, stainless bottle stoppers might sell them. They're kind of just, it's a stubby one, so it's not going to wander or anything. And then I've even drawn a little mark, you know, how far I need to drill, because I always use this for doing this type of thing, you know, for stoppers and all that. Oh, you know what? I need my phone. I knew something was missing. Let me get my phone out. Turn on the YouTubes. I can keep an eye on the chat here. Go to my channel. There it is. Sweet. Hey, Frank's here. How's it going? Daryl's here too. How's it going? Hey. So I got my phone open. Do a little bit of drilling. I need to find my safety glasses. There they are. Get this thing locked down here. And let's get going. So again, we used epoxy on this. Usually I use Alumilite Clear Slow for most of my castings, but for something like this where it's going to be clear, not a bad idea to pull out some of the Amazing Clear Cast so that you got a little bit of UV protection. So, you know, because all resins are going to yellow, but that stuff helps prevent it for longer. All right, so we got a hole. Now we're going to tap this guy. Pull out my tap. Now this is a 3/8/16 tap. Again, this is the one that you want to use. Now, you could drill out a 1/2 inch hole and glue in one of those, what are they called? One of the little brass inserts. That's another way to go. Typically, it's quick. I don't have to worry about gluing anything in necessarily. So you can either, you know, just tap threads, or in some materials that may be weak or something like that, or I don't know, if you just want a little bit of extra strength maybe, you can drill, it's a 1/2 inch hole, and then you would mount this guy down in there, and it's the same idea. You don't have to tap threads and do all that stuff. That's also, if you just don't have taps, you know, you just drill a 1/2 inch hole and then glue that knurled brass insert in there. You don't have to mess with this. But if you got taps, they're easy to pick up. You can get them like Home Depot and places like that, or online. All right, so we're gonna come in about 2 or 3, go back, come in 2 or 3, and you can do it with a hand wheel. Instead of the chuck, that's probably a better way to go. You're just trying to kind of cut threads and then kind of clean out some of that, the waste, basically. Oh. All right, now I always check and make sure that both my kit is going to fit. I've drilled deep enough and all that. Drilled and tapped deep enough, that fits fine, so we should be good to go. But I always check the hardware as well as the, obviously it would be, we would find out pretty quick here if this didn't fit, but I always double check both of them before I start turning so that I know for sure that everything's good to go. All right, so one thing that I forgot, I took off, I actually kind of screwed up a washer that goes on this that'll kind of keep things separated. So I'm gonna go get my little plastic washer out. And they sent me, they just came out with these little separator boxes and bushing kits. So they sell a whole kit of the bushings now, as well as these little plastic things and all that. And you can also just buy the case if you want that. So it's kind of nice I haven't gotten I haven't sorted all my stuff yet, but I will be quite soon, getting everything in there. So you got everything all separated. You don't have to mess around looking at baggies, and that's how I do it at this point. They got lots of neat stuff going on over at Stainless Bottle Stoppers. They also, I finally got they sent me some of the plastic bushings. So these bushings are metal, the standard ones, but if you're gonna do some finishing or gluing or anything like that, they also have some bushings that are plastic that won't get, the glue won't stick to it. So, or finishes. And so in most cases, it's not really that big of a deal necessarily, but I think that's a 13/16. In some cases, it may be a problem because, a lot of times I'll finish these like handles and things like this size with Luma UV resin. And that stuff, if you get it on the bushing and cure it with the light, that doesn't dissolve in acetone. Like, it's on there forever. So I was doing that, and I actually kind of came up with that idea and mentioned it to Dan over there, and they came out with those things. So pretty cool little deal there. So you don't have to worry about getting things glued onto your mandrel. Luckily, I didn't either, but just in case. Okay, doesn't look like I'm missing anything. So we're gonna flip this guy around. And we are going to make, I should have probably drilled this side, but that's okay. A lot of people get all upset. They get like seriously pissed off when you can see the threads. I think it's cool, personally. I don't know. I like being able to see the inner workings. It feels like it's like clockwork or something like that. I don't know. But lots of people have even called me unprofessional. That is not professional. So if you're one that hates the threads, then maybe, drill in where you got stuff where it'll kind of hide them. Or another way to go is you can paint, in there, paint around the outside, and that'll kind of hide things up. Like I said, I don't really care. Doesn't bother me personally, but I don't think it would bother most people on the planet that you either sell it or give it to. Some people, though, pet peeve, they don't like those threads. You've been warned. Okay, So let's see here. Let's get the right tool rest going. Yep, that'll work. And I'm going to be using this is pretty much my favorite. I mean, this thing will do darn near everything that you need to do on a lathe. So this is the mini finisher, and finisher just denotes the round, a round cutter, but the mini size. So it's a CI3 and it's a negative rake. So we'll be using that from Easy Wood Tools. I really like that one for, like I said, most things. I'm going to get my tool rest lined up here real quick. Right height. I got a little mark that just, you can do it off of like your center cone or whatever, but I just finally decided to put a little mark on my lathe. And that gets you nice and centered up. Okay. So let's get this thing started. I'm gonna ease my tailstock support in. And we are ready to roll. What do you guys think? Yeah, no, seriously, they literally were like, that is so unprofessional. Like, well, luckily I'm not a professional wood turner, so I think I'll be okay. It's funny. Some people get so upset about certain things. And I think it's just really funny because I kind of actually like it. It's not. I'm not even being lazy, and I'm not even afraid to say sometimes I'm just being lazy. That's not the case. It's just kind of like it. So I am going to turn the dust collector on. It just seriously makes a huge difference. I don't have to wear a mask necessarily while I'm doing this, so. I'm going to turn that on, but I'm going to, it usually doesn't like really affect the sound that much. It's loud in my ears. So I'm going to kind of start it and stop it here and there. I'm going to try to adjust the cone too that's not too, still going. That's not too bad. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad. All right, so I'm gonna just turn this up to, I don't know, 1200, 13, 15, 1600, somewhere around there. See how we're doing. Readjust this. And okay, so one thing to note, I gotta think about this just a little bit. Obviously this is gonna be the bottom. I have no clue really what shape I wanna make. I want it to be pretty chunky, but at the same time I also wanna cut into these things and see how do they turn, is the bond bad or anything like that. So we'll just kind of come in down here. I'm going to keep it kind of fat in the middle, but we'll put a little bit of, I don't know, we'll kind of cut off into this thing a little bit and kind of see. But I want it to be a kind of a, pretty big kind of thing. I don't want it to be I want it to be a no joke kind of deal, Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see. I'm going to move the camera around a little bit. So you're kind of on the same side of the, oh man. I got cords everywhere. Bring you guys over here. I think you can see a little bit more. Okay. And I can bring this in a little closer. I will say also the Amazing Clearcast turns pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. So same with deep pour. Definitely not disappointed with you know, turning those two. I just want to kind of taper this down kind of into the hardware where it's going to meet it. Let's get that going first. And I'm not really going easy on this stuff. You know, where the caps are. I'm not trying to, you know, be very cautious around them. I'm cutting it. Okay, let's stop and see, because I did get to cut into that green one a little bit. It's turning pretty well. Let's get the camera kind of in here. This is not exactly, it's one little tiny piece of it, but so far, no problems. I'm not feeling any cracks or anything, I don't think. I don't know, like I said, so far so good, not a big deal. There is a lot of, you know, on the inside, there's a lot of areas for the epoxy to really grab onto this thing. So, you know, even if the bond on certain sides or whatever isn't amazing, I don't know that it's really gonna like fly apart or anything like that. We might get some chipping here and there or something, but I think especially on a larger size, you know, full size blank like this, like a stopper or handle, you know, something where you're not turning it down to a tiny thin thing like a pen. Pen blanks are like the hardest. You know, if you put a really tough, you know, if you put a material in there that really doesn't bond well, I mean, by the time you've turned it down to, you know, what, an 1/8 inch at the most, you know, on a pen, on your pen blank, there's just not a lot of material there. So that's why you get a lot of tear out and blowouts on those things. But in this case, I mean, the thing's kind of held together by a lot of epoxy, so it's, you know, less likely that you're gonna have this thing just completely come apart on you. It's not to say that it hasn't happened, but, you know. All right, so let's get this thing trued up a little bit here. Okay. Trued up. Oh, see, it is coming apart a little bit. Kind of. I think we'll be okay, but it definitely isn't sticking amazingly to, you can kind of tell that it's kind of peeling away on that surface. Now, you know, I could have like scuffed up each one of these surfaces and done all this stuff, but I like to just try and kind of see how things work. Now, it's not really coming apart. Like I said, I think we'll get through it and everything, but there's definitely a little bit of a bonding issue, it looks like, going on. But I think we'll be all right. Now, one thing, you know, that I really love using, the duct tape of wood turning, is a little bit of CA glue. The super fast thin from Star Bond is my favorite for this kind of thing. Where are we at here? There we go. Star Bond super fast thin. Not only is it thin, but it's super fast. Yep. So, we're just gonna kind of hit this real quick, do a little dousing with some super fast thin. And what that'll do is it'll just kind of give it a little bit of support. It'll seep down into the, you know, any cracks, any areas that are kind of weak, and hopefully kind of fill them up a little bit. Turn the lathe on pretty slow, and I'm just gonna douse the heck out of this thing. We're just gonna let it kind of soak, like sit there. I'm not gonna, you know, be rushing to accelerate it. Oh, I guess you guys probably didn't see that necessarily. Should have zoomed out. But applied it, and we're just gonna let it cure on its own. Give it some time to kind of, you know, seep in. But man, look at that. It's looking pretty good. So you can kind of see there, you know, there's anywhere there's like a shiny spot in there, that's a bad bond. So we got some bad bonds going on. Kind of what I expected with these things. But like I said, I do think we're gonna get through it. Probably wouldn't recommend casting these for pen blanks though. Martian's here, what's up? I know. I love when you get like a really tall shaving coming off. You're taking like a long cut. Everybody does like the slow-mo. Those are fun. All right, so just to make sure this thing is dry. I think it is, but since it is super fast. All right, so let's keep on going. Now, let's see the shape. Let's just, let me see, what did the other one look like? Oh yeah, it's way. So let's just kind of taper. I think what I want to do, and I'm not trying to just kind of wiggle my way out of doing this stuff, but yeah, you can see there's a shiny spot right there. Shiny. I really want this thing to be a big, massive thing. It's going to look a lot better than this kind of thin, bumpy thing, I think. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of taper this down, and then it'll, you know, so basically I'm just going to kind of taper in a little bit going up. It's going to be fairly simple design. I'm not doing a whole lot with this thing. Maybe we'll do a taper and a cove. I don't know what that's going to look like exactly, but really kind of hogging away at this stuff. Like I said, it really wasn't like, it's not like it's gonna fly apart, I don't think. That's not to say I don't recommend, you know, wearing face protection and taking it easy, but I just, you know, little chips are more likely than the whole thing blowing up or something like that. So it's looking good. You guys are seeing what I'm seeing? Okay, good. Now I'm gonna we got our tapering going on here. We got a cove. Oh, almost dropped my tool. That's not good. Alright, so let's stop and see where we're at here. That's looking pretty funky. Look at that. I think this thing's going to be pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to come in with the detailer. Love me some detailer to try and kind of get into that, you know, that little area. Get everything kind of lined in to the bushing there. Okay. All right, so I'm kind of digging the shape, honestly. That's what I was going for, and I'm even going for a flat on the top. I don't know, what do you guys think about this thing? Gives you kind of a side perspective here. I mean, I wasn't really, you know, going for anything super crazy. This is crazier than I was going for, I think, in the beginning. I'm thinking that's looking, I don't know, that'll be kind of cool. It's got a, you know, it's got like a handle. I kind of like having that little cove so you can pull it out of the bottle. What do you guys think? Ah, the dust collector, yeah. I know. Well, I'll tell you what though, like I said, the duct work was so expensive, and I mean, it pretty much, it ruined, like I'm not even buying a new, I need a new laptop, and I'm waiting until next year because I just do not need write-offs after spending the money on that dust collector. Oh man. But anyway, let's see. Oh, where are we at here? Funky, funky. Digging it so far. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, me too. I'm kind of, I think it'll be a nice piece. I don't know. You know, baby food cap, whiskey bottle stopper, you know, because that's what everybody needs. All right, so let's see here. These little bits, they weren't like coming off as shavings, they were coming off as little, I don't know what you call them, little popcorns. Okay. So I'm trying to think if I need to do anything else. I might kind of clean this area up here. The taper probably needs a little bit of cleanup. And then I might just take the tailstock away once I get everything done here. Just kind of take a few passes to make sure it's running smooth and all that stuff. So let's do a little bit of work here on this bottom part. I'm gonna move you guys a little bit away so I can get in here. You guys can still see. I'm all right with this bottom part, I think, but I'm not digging this. It's just not really. Let's just kind of smooth it out a little bit more. All right, I think I'm happy with this bottom part now. The cove is looking pretty good. Just give it a little bit of a cleanup cut there. This thing's a little bumpy. Too bad right there. This is kind of a luxury, but I do like to come with the R2, the radius piece. I just seem to get a little bit of a better, I don't know, a little bit smoother surface on things like this than the round one. And that way I don't have to sand as much. All right, so that's pretty good. That's feeling nice on the outside. Okay, so let's pull the tailstock out, if I can get in there. There we go. And let's just get a little bit, take a few cuts here on the end. Make sure we're in the middle. The other thing is we got a big divot down there. So here's what I'm going to do. First things first, I want the tailstock support while I sand. It's not necessary, but that way it ain't going to move at all. So let's get the outside sanded, and then we'll just kind of clean up the end there and get rid of that hole also. All right, so we're going to slow down the lathe. all the little popcorns out of my way. And I'm going to start out. That thing's fairly smooth, but I think it might be quickest to start with 180 grit. I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. Start a little. I would usually probably grab 240, but down here at the bottom, there's a little bit of bumpiness going on. And if your lathe can go in reverse, sometimes it's so much easier to do that. Instead of having to be on the bottom of it, you can just kind of sit here and be on the top side. So a lot of times I'll kind of switch back and forth between, forward and reverse. Definitely not like 100% necessary on a lathe, but if you can afford it, it sure as heck isn't like a bad feature to have. I use it for a few different things, sanding, and I'll actually turn in reverse when I'm doing bowls in certain vases and things, because it'll be turning backwards, which means you're going to be cutting on the back side of that bowl edge, and so you don't have to hang backwards over your lathe to get in, like lean over the lathe to get the tool to cut the right side. I'll just turn the bowl backwards and I'm good to go. So I hope everybody's Thanksgiving was good. Did I already say that? Did we already have a Thanksgiving talk? Well, either way, I hope everybody had a good weekend. Even if you don't celebrate. Hopefully it was a good day. See what's going on in the chat here. If you really drink, I know that's true. You missed the pour. It was pretty fun. It's pretty simple. We just tossed these caps in and poured some clear. I added a little bit of the micro starlight glitter as well to this. But it's up, the replay's up if you want to see it. It was pretty quick. I had a lot going on that day, so it was kind of a quick stream. Steve's here. What's up? Oh man, you're getting razzed, Steve. It's kind of a quick, kind of quick today. I didn't do a whole lot of crazy turning on this thing, so kind of already done with the turning part. So as you can see, what we're making is like a whiskey bottle stopper out of the baby caps that we cast. And they turned okay, but there was definitely, once we clear this up, put a little bit of finish on it, you'll see there's shiny spots going to be all over the place in there, because the outsides of the caps were super smooth, And no resin, resins do not like smooth surfaces. They're not going to stick to it. And like I said, I could have like scuffed them all up or done, some kind of craziness, but that would have made it better. But I don't really feel like scuffing up baby caps, Love you some whiskey. There's not really any advantage to standing on top, but like in here, like it's harder for me. I'm right-handed. If I was doing this left-handed, then fine, I could get underneath here and get into this corner. But for me, it's easier for me to get on here on the top. So there's no advantage. It's just how easy it is for you. And for me, I kind of find it a lot easier just to kind of stand here and like just let gravity, I don't need to push up. This is more tiring, standing on the bottom to me a lot of times. So it's just personal preference. Daryl, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. And Frank, oh my God. Woo! Thank you guys. You guys are keeping the lights on around here. Appreciate it. Alright, so let me stop. I think I got a tool mark or two. Maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, there's a tool mark. Right there. Trying to get that tool mark out. So probably a good idea that I started with 180. I have needed to fix some of my tool marks and things. And of course, you can always wet sand, and that will, you can see it's kind of clogging up here and there, and so I'm blowing it out. Wet sanding will cure that. Not a bad idea to do it wet, but I usually go through a few grits dry, and then I'll go once I get to the high grits, that's when I go for water. All right, so we've done 180. We need to go to 240 here. Oops. Dropped it on the floor. And before we move on though, I'm gonna wipe this off with, well, first I'm gonna blow it off. I'm gonna get that dust, but we're gonna use a little denatured alcohol, and I've really found that this is like necessary. If you're doing resin, you really need to wipe it off, with denatured alcohol or something in between. And what it's doing is it's cleaning off, little sandpaper particles, little sand grits will come off while you're sanding, and anything else that's on there as well. And so I just find that you really get the best surface if you, don't press too hard and all that and heat it up. But if you use a little bit of denatured alcohol in between grits, that really is the way to go, I think. And then from here on out, it's just, once we've gotten everything the way that I want it, you got all the tool marks out with, the 180 grit. From here on out now, all we need to do is take out the previous grit scratches. All right, so Get rid of all the 180 grit scratches with the 240, and then so on and so on. But it does take a little bit of time. You got to be patient, you know. The mystery boxes, well, we haven't even started testing them. I just got kind of overwhelmed with everything that was going on with the launch. Mystery boxes will be coming next year sometime. We haven't even started the testing. Can't read this thing down there. Denatured alcohol is, I don't know what the technical difference is, but it's pretty much the same thing. Denatured alcohol, I think, is like a little bit stronger in some sense. I don't exactly know what exactly the difference is, but it's, you know, rubbing alcohol would work fine for this too. You could probably just wipe it off with water too. I mean, I don't know that alcohol or any of that stuff is like absolutely doing anything, you know, necessary. You just need to make sure you're cleaning the surface off, and I just don't think that wiping it is going to do that. So I don't know. And Lawrence is asking what a mystery box is. So we make blanks on the stream, and what we're going to be doing is I'm going to start making these monthly subscription boxes for people to buy if they want to, that include half, you know, a mix of blanks that we've made on the stream, and then half of them are going to be blanks that I just kind of come up with on my own. So it'll be a mystery box. You don't know exactly what you're getting. You do know it's going to come with, I think I set it up where it's like, I think we're doing like 3 or 4 pen blanks, something like that, and a handle size blank, like a 6" by 1.5. So that's what you're gonna get every month, but you don't know exactly which ones you're getting. Maybe it's 2 handle blanks, I don't know. Something. It is up on my website, but I need to do testing with that because it's totally different. The subscription model, you know, is something that I really want to test before I'm like, oh yeah, they're available. And then everybody has an issue with, you know, the charges or something. So we're gonna have a small group, just do like a little bit of testing, make sure that everything works the way it should with that on my website, with that payment and everything. But that'll be coming next year, or early next year. All right, so let's see where we're at here. That ought to be pretty good. The 240, I think. Another thing that you can do is you can sand the opposite direction a little bit. And that's not really a bad way to go for any solid surface material. That'll help you ensure that you got all the 180 grit scratches, or, you know, whatever the previous grit was. If there are no scratches going around it, then you know for sure that you've gotten all of them out, right? So that's just another little kind of strategy that you can employ. The other thing is, for solid surface materials like this, it's not, it might be a little bit advantageous to do both directions, because, you know, there's no air. Like, you know, if you're sanding wood, it's half literally air, you know, because there's the grain. Solid surface, there's no grain, there's no holes or air or anything like that. So kind of sanding a kind of a hatch pattern into it. But like I said, it's also just a good way to absolutely know for sure that you've gotten the previous grit scratches out. Because if you leave a bunch of scratches in there and then you move on to the next grit, it's just going to compound, and by the time you get to the polishing steps, you're going to have scratches that are showing through, and it's not going to polish very well. So you can do this. Sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to hand sand this sideways like this, but all right, so let's blow this off. Wipe it off. And then dry it off. And I'm just going to look. So the way that you to see where all the scratches are, if you want to get the best look, I'm going to move this thing out of the way a little bit. And I'm actually going to bring the camera back so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Just to see how it's kind of set up. But I got this pretty high intensity light, right? And what you want to do is you want to have it coming and raking down. They call it a raking light. What's happening is the light is going to bounce off and get into your eyes. That way you can see really well what the surface looks like. And I don't know if you guys will be able to, I don't know if you guys will be able to see the actual, I don't know if this is going to work with the camera. It's kind of hard sometimes to see like the actual scratches, but I can get down here and pick out, and what I'm looking for is any scratches that are going this way, you know, and I got a few right there. There's some right there. Not too many, but it'll let you see every single scratch. So like I said, if you want to be absolutely certain that you've gotten all of the previous grit scratches out, this is the best way to do it. A little bit here. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to see. And they're really hard to see if all the scratches are going the same direction, you know. I'm just going to give it a kind of a once over. I saw enough randomly throughout everywhere to say that it's probably a good idea to go this way. Now, on this thing, what I'm going to do is, I think instead of polishing it up, well, I was thinking about putting a UV finish on, but I don't know. Actually, I think we will just polish it up. I think that's the easiest way to go. I want to see how those things, those little plastic things, polish. So we'll do it that way. putting a finish on top isn't like particularly necessary, I don't think, but it's kind of an easy way to go. I would, at that point, I'd only sand up to like probably 400, maybe 600 grit, and then apply the UV finish. Or you could do CA if you wanted. I find it a little bit harder on larger, kind of medium-sized things like this to get a CA finish on, like without having to just glob it all over the place and it kind of setting up on me before I'm done. You like the current view? How does it look? Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. That is one of the problems though. This lamp is so bright it just flat blows out the camera kind of. I think it's got an automatic adjustment thing on it, but it's pretty bright. All right, I think that's probably pretty good. Oh, let's blow this guy off. Blow that off real well, and then again, I'm gonna wipe it with a little bit of denatured alcohol. Okay, on to 400 grit. Let's see here. Yeah, so Lawrence was asking about, like using heat to get bubbles out. And yeah, you can do that. You can use vibration and things, but you do need to get the right resin. You want one that's got a really long working time. Otherwise, it'll just set up on you too fast. That's the case with, Lumelite Clear Slow. There's nothing you can do. It needs a pressure pot because that gets rid of all the air bubbles instantaneously. But this stuff sets up too quick. So yeah, Liquid Diamond's not a bad one. Total Boat's got some slow stuff. Amazing Clear Cast is a long working time resin. That's actually what this was made out of. So there's lots of different ones, lots of different ways. One of the big things is though, make sure when you're mixing it and pouring it and doing all that stuff, you don't want to introduce a bunch of bubbles. So if you see me, I mix really fast. Well, I don't need to worry about air bubbles. They're going to be gone, right away with the pressure pot. But if you're doing something, you know, where you don't have pressure, you know, or you don't want to use it for some reason, then make sure that the whole process you're trying to not introduce a bunch of air bubbles, and that ought to help quite a bit. And you know, if you don't have to pop them, if they're not there in the first place, then you don't have to spend time popping them or anything like that. So, and liquid diamonds is a pretty good one for that. Amazing Clear Cast is pretty thick. A lot of the bar top epoxies, which that would fall under bar top epoxy, they tend to be pretty thick. Deep pour is not, that's got a super long working time. So for clear things and certain projects, deep pour is not a bad way to go from Alumilite. I use it sometimes for, you know, all kinds of different things. I don't know, Doug can answer. I've never actually used Total Boat myself. They got a bunch of different ones, so maybe Doug can throw out some good formulas from them that work for no pressure situations. Another one that's good is Entropy resins. They got a slow setting one. So anything that's pretty slow and not too, I find that it helps if it's not too thick viscosity. That's a good one to use for no pressure. Oh, I lost my sandpaper. Somebody asked what I was sanding with, I think. I forgot, sorry about that. Saw that and then I was talking about something else. This is called Abranet. It's a sandpaper that's like basically like a screen. I think it's just the bee's knees. So see-through, it's not going to clog up on you as fast as normal sandpaper. It also lasts a really long time. And it's made by Mirka, M-I-R-K-A. And I got links to where you can get it on my website, resinworksstudio.com/tools. I think is the link. I don't know, I got a new website. I'm not 100% sure. There's a link down in the show notes, I think, to it. But yeah, I got a link. I just get it on Amazon. You can also get it at Turner's Warehouse as well. They're carrying it now. But it works great for wood, I mean, like anything. It's what I actually was using this before I got into turning, just for woodworking, general woodworking projects. It's just the greatest thing ever. Mirka makes high quality sandpaper products. Anyway. But this stuff really lasts longer than many of the other your standard, you know, sandpapers. Oh, I lost another one, dang it. It doesn't last very long if you keep throwing it in the dust collector. All right, I think we're good here. Let me just stop this and look. Yeah. We're gonna wipe it off again. So again, between every grit, you know, you want to wipe off that surface with denatured alcohol. And then we can, you know, again, inspect the surface, see, got a few scratches there. Yeah, it looks like we got a few. So let me just, oh shoot, I dropped the whole roll of sandpaper. And I buy them in rolls also. You can buy them in little squares. You can buy them if you're a random orbit sander person. They got Merca, you know, or Abernet for that. I like to buy the rolls, and then what I do is I just get scissors. These, you know, if you cut sandpaper with scissors, those scissors are going to be toast. So go get a cheap pair from somewhere. Don't expect to use them for anything but cutting sandpaper off the roll, but yeah, but it works pretty good. I'm just going to do a little bit of hand touch up here on some of these areas where I see scratches. That are going that way, lengthwise. Just going to cover the whole thing by hand here real quick, and then call that good. Okay, so now we're done with 400 grit. I'm going to move on to the polishing papers. They're just basically higher grit sandpapers. But before we do that, I just want to touch up the end there. So we got most of our hardcore sanding done on the outside now. Oh, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so, and I got a indentation there that I want to take out. So let's get our tools back here. Let's get the lathe going the right way. Oh. Well, I don't know what happened, but it feels like our threads are stripped. So they probably are. So I'm going to try to do this carefully here, if possible. That's a good reason to use those the brass inserts. That definitely would not have happened if I would have used that. So I'm just going to try to kind of clean up this end here. If it's wobbling, because what's happening is the blank's wobbling around on me, which ain't good. So I'll have to see. Actually, that may kind of screw the stopper thing up. I mean, I can just glue the whole thing in, I guess, but I don't know. It's one of my pet peeves with epoxy products. Sometimes they don't thread. I don't know. I personally don't run into this kind of an issue with Alumilite Clear Slow. Urethanes don't tend to do that. Whoa. Yeah. Did you guys see that? This thing went flying off. I ducked and covered. Huh. Sped it up a little too much. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Well, that kind of sucks. I don't think that it has anything to do with these plastic pieces. I think it just didn't, like the threads didn't take. So I don't know. Weird. Did you see that thing flying around? You guys got to, if you missed that, you got to rewind. I was like, oh man. Duck and cover. So I don't even know if it'll go back on there. Not really. Yeah, so I would recommend using those. I mean, this thing's ridiculous. I would recommend using those inserts, guys. Glue the 1/2-inch insert in. That would probably be a better way to go, but I don't think I can keep going at this point. I mean, can't keep it on the lathe, you know? So, I think we might have to call it quits. I want to show you guys a couple other things. So I gotta look at the chat. Did you guys see that thing flying around? Oh man, that was hilarious. I'm supposed to start drinking until it's finished. Yeah, it flew off. And she's out of there, yeah. All right, so I wanted to show you guys. No, that's not the right camera there. There it is. I wanted to show you. So it probably landed on this, but I mean, you can see it's like separating right here. I don't know. These little cap things aren't really the best. You can even see it, like it'll flex in areas, and you can kind of see it. See that shiny spot. So overall, these are not the greatest things ever, but I do think that we can get through turning it. I think that what happened today, I don't really know why that's so weird. Perhaps I didn't really thread these things very well. I don't know what went on there. It's never happened to me before. But I do think that it would be better to drill out the 1/2-inch hole and then, you know, glue in your what are they called? Insert instead. So this is, you would glue these little inserts in. And I may be able to actually salvage this. I may be able to come back in, drill a 1/2-inch hole, glue one of these things in and return it. And I mean, I can just hack it off and re-drill and do you know, different stuff. But there's no way that I can finish this today. Let's put it back on there and just, let's put on a coat of, oh, that's zoomed in. Let's put a coat of CA glue on. just so we can see what this thing actually looks like. We never really did see it clear. Oh, I got cords everywhere. Hold on, there we go. Unplug. I'm just gonna put this thing kind of like right over top here. Let's put a little bit of CA glue on this guy. On the outside, just so we can see what it looks like, you know what I mean? That's weird. Didn't see that coming. Ooh, but it is cool looking. Look at that. Just don't know what happened to these threads though. Really weird. I don't know where that happened, you know what I mean? I mean, it had tailstock support the whole time, so it's kind of a mystery. Like I either just didn't tap this very well somehow, which could have happened. Maybe I did something when I was tapping it, but it's just odd to have that happen. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. I'm gonna bring it over to the other cameras here. Huh. Weird. Well, that's what it would have looked like. Pretty good, but it doesn't obviously fit in there very well. Don't know exactly where'd we go wrong, guys? Where'd we go wrong? Anybody got any ideas? I don't know. Yeah, I think you can replace pretty much every shift knob. Some CA in the hole and then screw it back on. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to drill that out if I want to finish it. But like I said, don't have time for that today, unfortunately. So it turned out cool, but that was a weird problem to have. I don't know. I've never really had that specifically happen to me before. I definitely haven't had something fly off the lathe like that. So I'm actually going to go back and watch that again because it was kind of funny. I'll tell you what, I saw that thing moving and I was like, well, the problem is for me to hit the off button means I got to stick my face right in the line of fire, you know. So I just went the other way basically, and I figured it was going to fly off. So that was a good one to avoid danger. Good idea to wear a face mask. I wasn't at the time. That would have sucked if I would have got tagged in the face. Yeah, I should be able to re-drill it and put an insert in sometime. But like I said, I'm not going to mess with it tonight. Too much setup and messing around, and it's already 4:37. So I apologize for the womp womp womp, but they did turn okay. But you know, there's lots of these areas. Again, what I'm not surprised about at all. See how it's all shiny in there? I mean, you know, all of the areas on these things that were the outsides are just not sticking to the resin. I don't know about the insides. I'm not sure if there's really any. Yeah, there's even shiny spots kind of on the inside. Although I don't know, this thing went flying, so you know, I don't know about that. But the outsides are just so shiny and smooth that the resin really doesn't have anything to grab onto. So, you know, you need to, you know, scuff it up or do something like that, or use something else that's not super smooth. But, you know, lots of shiny spots in there. I don't think it would have ruined the look of it. I think it would have been cool still, but man, threads. Really, really surprised about those threads. Anyway, so what do we got going on here? Yeah, and I don't know if it's the caps that did that. That's the weird thing is that was weird because there's no caps. I mean, there's really, I didn't even hit caps. This is, well, tell you what, it might have been the caps actually. Now I'm looking, there wasn't any caps where I drilled. It was totally clear, but I think what happened was it warped away, you know, where it was hitting that cap down there. I think the resin kind of warped away, and that's why it started, you know, wobbling around on me. Because it wasn't like this whole base was kind of moving possibly. I don't know. All of this stuff was smooth. So I don't know. It just goes to show you guys, you know, oh, that was the totally wrong camera. I was looking at my, so there was no caps where I drilled for the most part, but down here where I did end up drilling into it a little bit, and I think that there's a lot of shiny stuff, and this whole bottom part might have been kind of just wobbling around a little bit. It just couldn't handle, you know, being without, you know, without having support on the end. So I don't know, kind of an interesting thing. I mean, really, it's not even 100% to say that if you put an insert in this thing, if it was caused by the caps, I don't know that that's really even going to fix the problem. So kind of an odd thing here, guys. But what I was going to say is it just kind of goes to show you, sometimes it really pays. You know, like if you need to absolutely get a project done, sometimes it's not worth using materials that don't really bond with the resin. I mean, it's just going to make your kind of life a nightmare turning it, you know, or whatever you're doing. Now, if you're not turning it, so one of the problems that turners have with this type of stuff is you're sticking it on a machine that's spinning it, you know, like pretty fast. I mean, it's there's a lot of forces going on, and then you're jamming a chisel into it. So, you know, compared to somebody that's making knives, you know, like the knife scales, I mean, all you're doing is there's not any rotational force or like massive forces being applied. You're just sanding it pretty much. So you can get away with a lot more depending on what type of thing you're going to be doing if you're going to be like machining stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind. I just want to kind of mention those couple things. So anyway, guys, I'm so, like I said, sorry it didn't turn out, but I don't have time to fix it tonight, unfortunately. I got other things to do before I go home. So so next week, though, I'm actually going to be I'm going to be out of town. Let me double check. Yeah. So next week, we decided to do an early Christmas with my brother and sister-in-law. It just, everything worked out for them. So we're actually going to be out of town next week. So we're not going to be having a live stream, but we'll be back in action on the 15th. I'll be back in town by then. So sorry about that too. I just, this year's kind of Christmas plans are a little bit weird with different timing and stuff like that. So anyway, guys, like I said, sorry we couldn't get through this thing, but we'll get it fixed up. You know, we'll give it another try. Worst case scenario, I mean, I can hack it in 2 areas probably. I mean, I could just stick it between centers, basically, not trying to screw it on something. Stick it between centers on the lathe and you know, chop stuff off. I know nothing's holding it really there, but we can kind of get through it. I think it'll be all right. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a good night tonight. For patrons on Friday, I'll see you on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be doing, again, for anybody that just kind of joined the fun, I need to get new shorts that fit better. They're falling off me. We're going to be doing some candy canes. So that'll be pretty fun. I love doing these things. It'll be an awesome casting. These ones work. And they turn pretty well, although the threads and all that kind of stuff, they are kind of weak also for that, so you got to watch out. But we'll be casting those up, and don't forget, guys, bring your questions for the second half of the patron hangout. So Anyway, guys, I can't wait to see patrons on Friday. Next week, again, is going to be off from the live stream, so we'll see you guys back here on the 15th. And I hope you have a great night, and I appreciate it. Let's see. We had another super chat I just saw. So TLF Works, thanks for super chatting. Thank you to Frank and Daryl as well. And anyway, guys, I hope you have a great evening, and I will see you guys on the next live stream.